Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Oh my goodness, it's going to be a lot of fun today as we're seeing some crazy things. Remember how we talked about in the video last night? I don't know if anyone's in here yet, and maybe I'm just talking to myself, but in last night's video, we talked about the fact that when implied volatility seems bigger, we see almost nothing, but when implied volatility is lower and no one expects anything, we've seen some crazy moves, and we're seeing a crazy move this morning as the SPY gets outside of its daily expected move, something that I think a lot of people out there, and this I'm not gonna lie, guys. Last night I made my video, right? I don't look at anyone else's analysis before I make my videos. I try to make it 100% my take. I try to really look at the signals from my lens, right? And look at things and see if that's going to turn down. And a lot of other YouTubers saying, actually, we could turn up from that point we were at yesterday. We still can turn up, right? We still can see things curl back around, maybe for a retest or something like that. But the SPY is breaking down. It did make me a little bit... It made me a little So all I did was saw a couple of thumbnails from some people who I trust, and they actually disagreed with me a little bit. And now, but I went to my wife and I said, it seems like they're guessing. I don't think they're really looking at signal. It seems like they're guessing, but there is always a way to go higher. Even though we are experiencing something crazy right now, you are experiencing something crazy, you have to be aware of how you can get screwed. So what would be a way that they could screw you over is, well, the SPY is coming outside of its weekly or daily expected move. Notice that we gap outside of it. The Qs are about to test it right now. So this is where the SPY, and my dogs are playing next to me, so if you hear anything, but the Qs have not broken down. The Qs, we're waiting to see today if they want to hold up. Today's going to be important if we are going to see one more push higher than I believe this 4 hour cannot remain crossed over. Now that's going to take 4 hours to print, but we have to watch that. We are at a expected move to start off the day. So it's going to be a little bit wild, isn't it? But I just thought it was interesting, and it made me go, oh crap, maybe I'm not looking at the same. And then I looked at everything again and I go, yeah, it looks like everything wants to tear down from here. Even though we know there's a way higher, it looks like everything that's saying we're going to go lower is starting to confirm. Now we always have the chance for a bounce. Okay, guys, so let's pay attention to how we can get screwed today. Some good stuff happening. Remember, Nvidia outside of that monthly expected move. Where is it going? Now, one thing about these, monthly expected move is outside of a monthly expected move with reversal signals on the 4 hour, with reversal signals on the 2 hour. This is a signal on the 2 hour, right? This 2 hour, rejection divergence at the high, management of the trade. All of this is what we teach in the course down in the description. Okay, all of this is there, and you can find some great setups. We keep mentioning it just to show, because this is perfect. It literally is the setups that we look for. And if you just took one of these per month, right, you see one of these a month, then you will make tons and tons of money every single month. You will literally be one of probably the best traders if you can be that patient. But something with Nvidia that we pointed out was the daily scale was able to roll over. Here we are seeing that extend down. Now I'm going to talk about the monthly scale. Did some digging. Look at how many sold out of Nvidia the past few months. Exactly. Well, it's they've been scaling out of it for some time, but let me talk about this point real quick, okay, Jackal? I will give that to you in just 2 seconds, okay? Perhaps I'll give you that in just 2 seconds. So one thing to note here, on the last day of the expiration of these monthly expected moves, we will be putting out new monthly updated expected moves on Patreon later tonight. So be aware of that if you want to join the Patreon and get these monthly expected moves, so you can find setups like this, and then you need to know how to trade it, so you might want to get that course while it's 90% off. But right here, something I wanted to mention was sometimes, especially with monthlies and weeklies, not so much dailies, but monthlies, a lot of the time, you can see this dip down into here all day, and then you can end the day outside of it. Okay, so if we are going to turn around, I still think you need to be aware if you get some kind of little 30-minute curl up or something like that, right? If we get some kind of little hourly turn up, right? We turn down for a while and then we curl back up. Okay, by end of day, we just do something like this. Just be aware that that can happen. It is less likely, but that has happened to me before, where it's almost like the market makers shot it down, got out of those positions, and then produced some upside. That's what it seemed like to me whenever this happened, was it was some kind of rigged move. But for the most part, we can see, hey, this is dropping down. Nvidia is at least pulling back on the daily scale. When do we know that this is going to start to escalate? Or it can escalate, right? A lot of the time when you get the first crossover, you'll see some kind of bounce, right? You'll see some kind of bounce sometimes, especially on bigger time frames. Like we've seen plenty of times where the monthly crosses over, we're experiencing some kind of daily bounce, and then the monthly crosses, remains crossed over, and that daily just, proves to be some kind of dead cat bounce or something like that, or in the opposite direction. So one thing to note is this. This is going to be the main signal. This is when major weakness is coming in, and there can be bounces when this first crosses, right? We do have earnings. There can be a wonky little bounce in that. And Hanok, I think I'm saying that right, but thank you so much for subscribing this morning, everyone. Welcome, Hanok. And one thing to note, though, is that is the main signal. For the SPY, what's the main signal? It's if that crosses over. For the Qs, if that crosses over. Right? And look at that. It's getting to the point where it's about to break, right? So the daily expected moves for the Qs, just so you are aware, Crabs, I got you. And we are breaking that level, but notice we're still in the trend line for the Qs. So I think this means, hey, maybe the Qs do make a little gap fill. That can still happen because those weeklies haven't crossed. But this is what we want to see. If that 4-hour can print down and we get no 30-minute cross, that 4-hour momentum might take over. So daily expected moves for the Qs, 501.42 to the upside, 490 or 491.34 to the downside. It's this one right here. Sorry, the price action's kind of right there. I probably should make these a different color because red pops up, right? I shouldn't make them red or green. I might change that. Just running out of colors. Yeah, it's high on the, no, this is not as high as yesterday. This is not as high as yesterday. This is like half. This is almost half. This is about this is about 40% less implied volatility today. And what we were pointing out, Prabs, if hopefully you watched last night's video, because we do say little things too that I think are good for people to catch on, which is the point where I made the point in saying, hello, whenever the ranges are big, you're supposed to see bigger moves. But lately, when we see the ranges are big, we don't see anything. But once the options market can be taken off guard, then we're seeing crazy stuff, right? Once those shrink down, that's when you see crazy stuff. So yesterday, we had an implied volatility of like all the way up towards that weekly, wasn't it? Wasn't it like all the way up here and all the way down here? And where did we sit? We sat right there. So it's like, okay, nothing. Then today, we have smaller ranges, and we're already outside of them, right? So it seems fishy to me. You don't see that very often. Usually when the implied volatility is lower, you see small move, you see consolidation, you see this. But lately, it's been, hey, small implied volatility here. Okay, gap up. Big move. Use it as support. That stuff's happening. So that is some fishiness. I'm reading into it as much as I can, but I just want to more see. It seems they're trying to take people off guard. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like to me, every single time these ranges get a little smaller, that's when something happens, which is very, very sketchy to me. Good morning, Martin. How you doing? And they could just be dipping down, right? Okay, we've bought up from these areas before. Right, so one thing to note from the bull side, we want to pay attention. This is great. This is great, right? My volatility play really likes this right now, right? But if this is some kind of trap, right, we want to treat it like we can be wrong at all times. I'd really focus on this. I'd really look at this level, almost treat it like a neckline. Say, hey, we got excited. If that dips down and curls back up, what should we expect? Maybe some positivity, right? If that curls up, where would it still go to? Positive territory. So unless this continues, right, and that's what we're talking about. Does the 30-minute curl up today, or do we see this 4-hour print that bar? In order for that 4-hour to print that bar, I'd really like to see that be pretty negative. I'd like to see us break this, because if we remain in here, the Qs can push us higher, maybe to gap fill or something like that, because there's pretty much a left head. We got excited, but sometimes we get excited and still make that right shoulder. And then on the other side, you would say, okay, maybe this level here is important. We see the wick, we see the gap. So maybe this level that we're at right now, we're testing it right now. So maybe this level is important, and we're actually going to see left head, right shoulder. okay? I just want people to get in a good habit of always thinking, how could they trick me, okay? The T today is a lot of YouTubers still saying the market would go higher today, and I just had the balls to fully put in my video exactly what I think last night, a little bit more so than usual. More so than usual was, hey, if this crosses, it's bad, right? And we're seeing terrible signals everywhere, so why would I even, if anything, I'd be patient. Now we're seeing that confirm. If this confirms today, you're already seeing something crazy. You're not outside of a weekly yet, but bad things can happen. Microsoft, remember this one, we did not like those signals up here. We had that 30-minute divergence outside of a weekly expected move, and that led to a pullback. And then we crossed up one more time, right? One more rigged move higher, then they just rug pull you. So most likely there already was weakness here. People got excited before earnings, and now they're not liking it. But green numbers, bad price action. So very interesting there. Maybe a reaction to the data as well. Let's go check on our buddy SMCI and see if that caught anything. Nope, it has not caught anything just yet. So SMCI really suffering here. SMCI really suffering here. The reason that we were saying, hey, be very cautious today, and why today is still very important, is because this daily scale is turned up now. And that's a positive bar for volatility, meaning volatility is about to take off. One thing I did look at was, I can't remember who told me about the 9-day volatility chart. I was looking at that for about 25-30 minutes yesterday, just kind of looking at it to see if I could read into it. That one actually reacts before volatility reacts, probably I would say half the time from what I looked at. I only looked back to this area, I think, March of 2023. But when we've seen daily cross-ups, you actually notice that this one does curl up a day in advance a lot of the time. This time it curled up like 4 days in advance. So I just think that chart's interesting. I really like it. I need to do more research on it. The main one I'm still going to focus on is the fact that volatility is crossing up. Notice that this is not getting a breakout, so we have to be aware if a little 30-minute does cross down. Yeah, that's saying pullback right now, okay? This is just saying 30-minute pullback for volatility. All right. TLT crossed down on a 30-minute. Everyone probably like, oh no, this isn't going to happen anymore. But the thing is, this went more positive than last time. And so if this can curl up into positive territory, what are you going to see? Ooh, left head, right shoulder. Just got a little excited on that breakout. So we're retesting the 5. What did we say when we were seeing the breakout? We can go retest the 5. Let's see if that ends up going to the upside. That's right, it was Jackal. I was about to say Jackal, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I didn't want to make someone feel bad. So yeah, Jackal, thank you for bringing that to my attention. It does pops, I would say 50% of the time in advance of volatility. Does it work out every time? Probably not, right? Nothing works out every single time. If someone found something that worked out every single time, they would be rich as balls. So it's probably not going to work out every time, but I did notice for the last year or so, year or two, it's been popping, and then volatility kind of follows suit there for a little bit of time at least. As of right now, we notice that PCC has not opened up. We're going to pay attention to this in about 5 minutes. What we need to see is if people are dramatically to the call side, because then the dollar is dropping. So we are seeing that correlation come into play. This could last for some time, right? The dollar could need to get by that center line. And if the dollar is going to react with this positive correlation to the market still, then that would mean maybe the dollar drops and the SPY drops at the same time. Now, if that turns around and we get rid of that correlation, people are flying into the dollar, maybe getting out of stocks. And we'll see if that's able to come to fruition. But for the most part, we just need to look at these little 30-minute charts and see, are we going to catch a bounce at some time? Right now, you're reacting to a extremely lower level. So even though this is happening, it's good to have no bias and say, this is my 68% zone, this is my 32%, this is my 32%, right? So if this wanted to, what do? We lost this important zone very dramatically. We came down into an important point. But overall, couldn't we still be consolidating on bigger time frames? Overall, if we're going to break this zone, what do we normally do? We retest it. So this actually would make sense today. So we'll see if that's able to come, right? If that 30-minute crosses up, that's where I expect we are going to head towards. Thoughts on Peloton? Is that what Peloton is? Thoughts on Peloton is I would never use that product. But look at this. Bad earnings, good price action. But I don't know if the earnings was totally bad, right? They could say one or two good things and see that go to the upside. Yeah, the tornado didn't blow us away. Oh my gosh, it was pouring. I did vote yesterday. And it was absolutely like a monsoon out there when I was voting, actually. And my wife was able to vote. She hasn't gotten her Kansas ID yet, but we're lazy. But she was able to vote, so that's very good. It's the first time she's ever voted. Probably one of the most important elections of our lifetime, probably the most important election of our lifetime, and she was able to vote, so she was very excited. Baby girl wasn't able to vote, but she did get a sticker. Palantir, remember we were talking about this guy given that 2-hour divergence? Ooh, that's not good. Is that curling over the daily scale? Well, the daily scale is already curled over. Now you have a rejection divergence, but you have a lot of time, right? If this wanted to base out, curl back up, it would still make sense. Alrighty, and as of right now, it looks like the one that wasn't lying, dollar gold turning down. Okay, we'll see if this is able to curl down on a daily chart. That would say a little bit of weakness here, some flat divergences on the RSI. Cat. The storms aren't over. We have about a day break today, and then tomorrow I think it all starts back up. So keep me in your prayers, all right? Keep my girls in your prayers. They're the more important ones, right? So keep the girls in your prayers, and I'll do my best to take care of them. But I think the storm's supposed to pick up, at least for now. Kansas is weird, okay? It was 90 degrees last week. It was 55. It was 40 degrees 2 weeks ago, 90 degrees last week, and now it's 60 degrees and pouring rain. Today it's a little sunny. So, yeah, Kansas is a funky place. We see all kinds of weather patterns like that. So I'd feel bad for anyone who's a weatherman if you're a weather person in Kansas. What's my thoughts on AMD? My thoughts on AMD is this thing is absolute trash, and the weekly's telling you that. The weekly is crossing over here. If that remains for the rest of the week, then this is your big hint, right? If you watch the YouTube video, Kareem, yeah, we put out a YouTube video last night. What did we talk about with AMD? Did anyone watch this part? Kansas City's the next Austin. Kansas City's pretty. They have a really nice, if you have the opportunity, even here, we have a very nice zoo. Very nice. And it's a ton of fun. It's huge. And then Kansas City has a nice zoo as well. I'm a zoo guy. But look at that weekly crossing over. What's the bad signal? Who was paying attention to the video around AMD last night? Please tell me you guys are watching more of the video, because AMD was very, very important. I need one person to say, I watched the AMD portion and mention a huge signal that tells you that a crash could happen and why we were talking about that a little bit more yesterday using AMD. One person tells me, and I'll show it to you guys today. You guys gotta be paying attention to those YouTube videos. One stock can give you a hint. That's why I say watching the entire thing is very, very good, because you're gonna get a hint from certain stocks of what is to come. We use hints from other stocks to see what those markets are doing. This one, we were talking about the semiconductor market, and the big signal was, ooh, uh-oh. Weekly cross down, close. Up the time frame a little bit. MACD crossover, yes. All right, we'll say close enough. How about that? You guys pretty much, close enough. It was this. Now, if you're looking for a good investment for a long time, you would like to see monthly momentum with you, right? Yeah, I didn't turn my mic off. I just got quiet because that's a garbage signal right now. We have to be aware of how we can get hurt, but the last time that this monthly crossed over, what ended up happening? Now, what's the difference between here and here? Here and here? Well, the difference is you have major divergence points. You have, if I blow it up, it's slightly down here for the MACD. You're going to see slightly down for the MACD here. You're going to see that the RSI is dramatically down. Okay, this is pointing straight down. straight down. This means that major weakness can come for AMD, and if AMD is going to go through weakness like this, if SMCI just, is dropping 17% today, it's absolutely crashing. Well, then you'd say for the semiconductor market, who's really holding this thing up? Maybe just like Nvidia, that's like it, and that thing is turning down right now. Now, Nvidia could be related to GME. I'm seeing someone bring that up, but the main thing you want to focus on for GME is just, are the signals good? Are the signals good? Is the daily turned up into positive territory? Are we in the crazy level? Yes, we are. Can we remain curled up on the daily scale? We still have earnings coming around the corner, but the 30-minute has crossed down. It's still in positive territory. We notice that there's probably some 15-minute little signals popping up, but we're still positive here. We're still at the crazy level. You just want to see if that 30-minute can hold up. We could be retesting that 5. Notice we're retesting the 5 like almost right now. So Nvidia, as it comes down, you want to see is Nvidia coming down because they're having to buy back GME? Or is Nvidia going down because they're getting liquidity to force GME down? There's kind of two options there. So if they still believe they can fight the stock and they can still win, then most likely Nvidia drops and GME drops, and then you'll see a time where Nvidia starts to turn back up and GME keeps turning down because they won, right? But if Nvidia drops, Nvidia drops, Nvidia drops, and they're secretly buying in here, and then that hits the tape and Nvidia keeps dropping, then I think that's how this would play out in my mind. You think the SPY's going down? Well, that's a good thought, considering we are outside of daily expected moves. You're pretty much seeing a 2 standard deviation move almost at this point. And did I delete the Qs? I deleted the Qs, guys. Gosh dang it. All right, we're back. And the Qs are doing it, okay? Now, what did the SPY do multiple times? It violated its trend and then it bought it back, right? So we still have to pay attention to it. I know I'm one of those people who has been beat up by things when I think that this has to happen. I'm like, oh, I am 100% right. I would never assume you're 100% right. I would always be open to being wrong, even if it's just 1%. Always be open to it. Because this could be dramatically going down. Everyone could be running into puts, as we are right now, and the dollar could be starting to, well, the positive correlation with the dollar was up. So unless that is changing right now, we might want to pay attention to that. We might want to pay attention. Volatility also needs to curl back up on the 30-minute. We'll see if that can break out. Is this the crash? These are all of the signals that would start us to talk about crash. These are all the signals we see before, like as a crash is forming, as a top is forming. The actual crash signals, I would say, is if momentum can turn down from this on a weekly scale and you do not see little 2-hour turnups right now. You do not see daily turnups for sure. For sure, if you see daily turnups, this ain't it. But this is, someone talking about engulfing in some way. You're pretty much engulfing weeks worth of price action if this continues lower. So this is like, if that confirms, then we're going to talk more about crash. But notice what I just said a second ago. Always have at least a 1% part of your brain thinking, how can this go wrong? How can this go wrong? Do we have reversal signals in any way here? No. So in order for them to save the market with this kind of look, they're going to have to do something absolutely rigged. MSTR, yeah, some people looking at this one, MicroStrategy, this one too. I mean, look at the weekly scale. Look at the weekly scale. It is showing divergence. Now, that has a longer period of time to confirm. Bad earnings, good price action. But as far as it goes, look at that. Look at that. Look at, how is this remaining higher? Look at that number. Minus that. 1,298% negative from the estimate. but the stock is remaining elevated. Like this is when you know, hey, yeah, something fishy is going on here. This is not right, because something like Microsoft got positive numbers and just plummets, but something that gets absolutely garbage numbers stays higher. Heads actually a little bit higher, right? That's where earnings is just a rough deal. As far as it goes right now, you do have the dollar down, starting to climb up. You do have PCC going higher. Now you want to still pay attention to what's going on and just see if you have reversal signals, right? It's not just, hey, I see the dollar going down, the market going down, and people are really calling puts here. That's not it, right? You want to see reversal signals. Do we have reversal signals? No. So if they wanted to rig this thing today, they would have to shoot it higher. But what are you doing? You have a high, you have a lower high, you have a low, now you have a lower low. So you're starting to look like a negative trend. Negative earnings keeps making things pump. Welcome to earnings, Loxley. I know. It's a risky business. This is why I mentioned my trade with Zillow years ago, plenty of times, because that's what really can convince people. Like, hey, you know, the best part about being someone who is maybe new is you have the ability to learn from other people's mistakes before you maybe make them. You're most likely going to make your own mistakes. Right? You're most likely going to make your own mistakes, but I highly encourage you, if someone's telling you like, hey, I never do this, probably take that into consideration. Tech DJT, is that doing something? DJT, 30-minute, little divergence here on the RSI. Still saying it could be a pullback, but this is where you want to say, if these things start to turn down, well, everything can turn down in a crash. You're in a 2-hour pullback now. Okay? You're in a 2-hour pullback. So we said that 30-minute, if that can hold at the 5-day, that'd be good. Right? But notice we crossed the 2-hour, meaning we're going to go through maybe more of a pullback. Where are we pulling back into? Well, if we look here, we have a little bundle. Let's kind of pull that across and see. Well, there's some price action in there. There's some price action in there. Actually, right below us is where we broke out to see a solid move. And right below us is where we broke out to see a solid move. So they're in the same-ish area. Yeah, they're pretty much in the same area there. So 37.33. We'll rotate to small caps. Yeah, IWM maybe. 10-year going higher though, so people not liking the data today either. For IWM, it was 2-hour crosses down, bad things, man. This looks like an ABC pattern, right? 1, 2, 3. What you're hoping for is the 3 is not very low. You're hoping to react maybe down into these areas, get some kind of little divergence. And then while everyone thinks, oh yeah, this is going to crash down, then it just turns back up. It depends. If you like the, you know, as far as taking profit on anything, it's, do you like the amount of money right now? If you're scared that this thing can turn down, can you sell enough contracts to break even and then just play with house money so you have no risk that you risked before the trade, right? So if I had $2,000 worth of contracts and now that's worth $4,000 or $3,000, well then I could sell enough to make $2,000 back and just let the rest go. Oh, you're short on volatility? If you're short on volatility, this is a very scary signal for you right here. Okay? This is a very scary signal for you. All right? When you cross up on the daily scale, that means daily momentum can be with you. So I would pretty much say if this 30-minute curls up again, I'd be a little bit scared of that trade. That's all I'm saying. I can't tell you what to do. Can't do that. I can just tell you this is the exact opposite of what we were looking at. Oh, long. Okay, long. Whew. That scared the shit out of me for a second. I'm like, a 2-hour was crossing up and it's positive, and the daily just crossed up and you're going short. It's not to say a short can't work here. It's just you don't have reversal signals. That's why I'm talking about it this way. We still haven't had that big breakout moment. So even though we're seeing crazy downside, is volatility making the most money right now? I wouldn't say so, but we'll see. So the more this drops, you need people to really think this thing's going down to start getting that volatility go up. You need people to make some big bets and things like that. Dollar actually starting to scale up. I wonder if the remember we said the crash time for the dollar is if the dollar starts to turn up and the market does not follow that anymore. The correlation goes back to being negative. That would be rough. That might mean that we actually do cross over weeklies pretty quick. So everything that we talked about in last night's video is kind of playing out right now. Nvidia, as far as the bounce goes, we can look for levels. Down 4.61%. Alrighty, pointing straight down, curling down on a daily. So all this is playing out. Isn't that nice? Okay, so at this point, weirdly enough, at this point, you can say 3 for 3. These signals got us back into the range, just like last time. Just like this time. Just like this time. Just like this time. So it's working. So 4 for 4. And now that's really deep. So even if we do get a 30-minute bounce, it's going to be rough. We can use this as resistance now. Nvidia really plummeted in here. And AMC and GME still remaining in those elevated areas. Big drop here for GME. We'll see if that goes down to the 5. Notice where the 5 is. It's right at that 2191. We can use that as support. We're still in the crazy area. AMC, not so much. But remember, you need that 30-minute to go positive. Doug. What up? Big drop on Tesla. Tesla's still going through a 2-hour pullback, okay? We broke through a major zone, right? We broke through a very important zone. This zone goes all the way back to here, okay? So if that zone goes all the way back to there, it's pretty important. The 2-hour still has a lot of room to get by that center line, right? All I'm looking for here is to be very patient. If I see a 30-minute divergence, great. But if I wanted to just see the 2-hour, can that curl up after getting any kind of support? Can that curl up into positive territory? That's what we're looking for. Did you have GME during the first run-up? No, I did not. I actually started to research GME after the big run-up of this year. And it's just because I didn't understand it back then. I just thought it was a crazy thing. I thought retail was the reason that thing went up. Like the sole reason that went up. I just thought a bunch of retail people pumped it. That's not what happened at all. That's not what's going on with GME and AMC at all. Boy, am I happy I took EVXY for a hedge. Yeah, that's very good. It's nice when you make a decision that you're like, I kind of want to hedge here, and then it works out, and you kind of thank yourself. So pat yourself on the back, Lisa. Congratulations, good job. This is the spot you can buy Microsoft from. Well, we want to look at that and just see if this is confirming anything bigger down, because as we look at this, we can go like this a little bit, right? We can see this, and we go, we've broken that. Okay, cool. The structure from here, this did not violate, right? So left, head, right shoulder, this could be a big signal here to pay attention. If that daily crosses down, then no. But I see what you're saying. If we were doing some kind of, you'd say weird cup, some kind of consolidation here would be fine. See if that's able to roll back over. See if the daily can turn back up. But for the most part, the 2-hour is, how negative is that? It's not even negative. So if the 2-hour whips back around, you still have that opportunity to test the high, go make a new one. Yeah, I think you give credit where credit is due, right, Lisa? And DJT, Doug, we did just look at this. 2-hour pullback is just what you're going through. You're going through a 2-hour pullback. We've seen plenty of 30-minute pullbacks. We saw a little 2-hour pullback in here like this. It's just a little bit prettier. This is where you should be a little bit more like, oof, this can really turn down. Is it turning down bigger time frames? Are we going to go through a daily pullback? But you notice, where are we? Daily 200. So I'm just paying attention. If the 2-hour curls up, that might be an opportunity. If the daily curls down, that most likely means we're heading a little bit lower, maybe towards 28.50. Somewhere in this area, right? I highly doubt with this, unless we go through a black swan, I highly doubt, I mean, unless they like do something to Donald Trump, which they're obviously trying to all the time, unless something crazy happens like that, well, then you would at least expect this, right? We'd at least expect this to continue. That is a very positive move. I want you to see this. The last time this really ran, right? This is a big run. Last time this ran, what happened? Well, we ran again. We turned down, right? The 2 hour crossed up. We went up one more time. Probably made a 2 hour, 4 hour divergence. Curled down on the daily. And then we popped up. Boom, positivity. Same thing can happen here, right? There's a very positive move still. But if a black swan starts to come out, that's going to be a little bit more worrisome. SPY's still at the lows, man. So yeah, Doug, it's kind of like, hey, I need to be patient now. All right, now it's turning down. Hard to believe Biden would call Trump supporter garbage. So yes, Sid. So this is where I wanted to bring something up, and let me know if you would like to get one. I have a business venture that I'm going to start doing. I'm building the website right now. I worked on it a lot last night. I worked on some logos and things like that last night as well, because I used to make t-shirts actually. Back when I was a comedic streamer, I used to sell sweatshirts and things like that. But I'm making sweatshirts related to that right now. Yes, Sid. So my question to you guys, maybe you guys can vet it for me to see if there's a market for it. If you saw a t-shirt related in some way to the Biden calling Trump supporters garbage, would you be interested in that? Okay, just say yes or no in the chat for me, okay? It's okay if you're not interested in it at all. I like sweatshirts, so I'm thinking about making sweatshirts with something related to that, especially with this garbage truck thing. Like, I think that's so funny. You know, you can't? Just because I like t-shirts about metal music and video games? Holy crap, you have all the t-shirts my wife has then. Damn, I should have bought 2 contracts instead of 1 this morning for DJT. Can't complain. No, you can't. Nvidia bouncing. All right, we'll see. I mean, in the shorter time frames, you're always going to see little bounces. What you notice here is this is straight down. It's going to be difficult. You're less probable to land outside of here today, but this is a very good move. What you want to see now is structure, right? They have to build liquidity still on the way down, so you want to see if this flags. Yes, Mark? All right. Anyone else? Bring me the horizon? Nice. My buddy was really into that. Yeah, so I'm going to start a little website and market it. And it's pretty much going to be a pun of people proud to call themselves garbage. If you're interested in that, I'll show you guys some mock-ups once the site is up. And I'm just going to do print to order to start. And if there's a market for it, then I'll up it. I've already talked to investors about it. And they like it. That and the investors would only get involved if it scaled up dramatically. VIX at a new high. Yeah, so volatility can still turn up even if we experience bounces. Newest paid member in the house. Let's go. Let's go. No. Oh, thank you to everyone out there who are grabbing the course down there. I think that's fantastic. It's going to take some time, right? We talk about patience in the course, but you'll see those setups like Nvidia. And right away, even today, if you have that setup, you probably made over 100% on that if you held it. or did the management of the trade. So Nvidia experiencing some kind of bounce. We'll see if that comes to fruition here. One thing that can happen is, where's the breakdown? Well, it's right where we gap to, right? Pretty much at these lows. And where did we gap to? Right there. So we gapped below what we could find as support. We break back through the monthly expected move. This is all fantastic stuff. You'll learn how to manage the trade just so you weren't hurt by this. You probably, if you take here, you probably made money here. And then you saw that bounce, reapply position, and downside, right? Maybe you had to manage again, but from this in general, this should be a great trade. DJT halted over and over. I mainly go with the indicators, go with the price action. But if I hit a certain level, if I hit a price max effort, it's going to be these type of things. Like if this didn't happen, let's say this didn't happen, this bounce here, right? And we did that. Okay, the top side monthly expected move, few days left in the month, I would take some profit here. I'm mainly, when it comes to looking at price levels, every week, every month, I'm mainly paying attention to these. Okay? Like, let's see Nvidia right now. Okay, this is great. This is why you should join the Patreon. This is why you need to learn how to trade around ranges. Do you know where we're at right now for Nvidia? I'm just gonna let you know. You guys are here, you're live, you guys are active, we're asking questions, we're talking a lot. I get to use you guys to see if you're interested in my t-shirt and sweatshirt ideas. That's fun. But for the most part, where are we right now? We're at a weekly expected move. We're at a weekly expected move. What happened? We're bouncing a little bit. So when we hit a weekly expected move, even though I see macro signals that are garbage, right, and those could be continuing to turn down on the SPY and the Qs, those weeklies haven't crossed over. So what does that mean? I'm going to probably take some profit on this trade at the weekly level. Now, I actually took profit in here for Nvidia, saw this bounce, and then I bought Volatility. I'm not in Nvidia for this. I'm in Volatility. But I did make money off of the first Nvidia play. As we approach this level, I took profit on that when that curled up, and I go, okay, I made a little bit, now that's curling up. Okay, I could reapply the position, but Volatility, I think, might scream even higher than this, than Nvidia drops right now. So I like Volatility, so I took that. But if I was back in this play, and I'm confident, hey, that thing's going down, it's rejecting on a 2-hour, where would I start to think about taking profit on a weekly basis? Those weekly expected moves. And we talk about taking profit in the course too for those people, because we did have a few people that did grab the course this morning. I think that's fantastic. One thing you're gonna know is, well, we bounce from those levels a lot of the time. That is the best support, the best resistance that you're ever going to get. Genuinely, I've paid attention to stocks for years and years and years. I used to be a fundamental trader when I was like 20 years old. Switch to the technicals. I've been doing technicals for 5, 6. I think it might be going 7 years now. I'd have to look back at my dates, but for the most part, what I learned throughout that was this is the best support. This is the best support. I always was paying attention to price action for support, paying attention to price action. This is the options data. This is people's money telling you exactly how low they expect this thing to go. Everyone. With a 68% confidence that it's going to land in that zone. Where did we just tag? Where did we just bounce from? The weekly expected move. We're bouncing off of the weekly expected move right now. Does that mean this has to bounce? No, but it tells me if I have 10 contracts and I see a big move, I can sell 5 of those, let the other 5 run in case something crazy happens. Pretty cool, right? Trickery, not necessarily. You're getting lows now. It could always be trickery, Royal Freshness, right? You could always do that. There's always a trick that can happen. But at least we got a treat first. You know what I mean? Trick or treat. No, never mind. But yeah, there can always be tricks. There can always be bounces. There can always be traps. Okay? Always. Bought PLTR puts. Great signal for PLTR. Great signal for downside for Palantir that time. So there's an argument to say we could experience some kind of bounce as far as volatility goes, right? But there's also an argument that says, okay, this daily is just now crossing up. So what you could look at are previous cross-ups, right? Now, this doesn't mean it has to play out the same. This cross-up, ooh, bad thing, right? It crossed up, failed. But it gave us a reversal signal in here. Remember the 30-minute divergence. This cross-up, crossed up, played out a little bit longer. This cross-up, crossed up, took a long time, but scaled up, scaled up, scaled up. It never crossed back down. This cross-up happened in negative territory. This cross-up happened in negative territory. This cross-up is happening in positive territory. The closest cross-up to, but we see these type of things before, but this isn't as elevated. Here, we crossed up almost, right on the edge of positive right away. Good stuff. So can this continue? Yes. Is there always an opportunity this fails? Yes. That's why you have to know managing trades, right? So if I'm taking a daily cross up, and you'll learn this more in the course if you need to understand this better, if this 2 hour is going to back off, well, 2 hours pretty good momentum. So if that's going to cross back down, then I say, okay, volatility most likely will subside, maybe fill a gap or something like that. Holy shit, you guys are writing paragraphs. They're all stacked on each other. So we're still running into that point where we've struggled to break through. You notice when we did break through, what happened? Volatility screamed. So can we break through? You have a daily signal that's suggesting that this is a very good opportunity to break through right now. We have complete craziness going on with the election. We see more and more people getting emotional every day. We have the housing market that told us, hey, this thing is crossing down. I believe it was weekly scale. If that prints tomorrow, I'd be paying attention to it. This could be some kind of dead cat bounce for the housing sector. We have TLT still trying to base out in some way. We'll see if that's able to curl back up into positive territory. Are people just reposition? Just let alone any kind of black swan, take that out of the equation. If people just reposition to bonds, you're probably going to see more downside than this in the market. You're going to see more downside than this in the market if people just keep repositioning into bonds. And this is great structure. We're remaining healthy for TLT. This is not bad by any means. Right? We see it. We see it. Now we have to see that cross back up. As far as Tesla goes, Tesla's still just in a 2 hour pullback, guys. Nothing crazy here, right? 2 hour pullback. See if that can cross. If you want to do it a little sooner, you probably look hourly. Hourly's right by the center line. So if that 2 hour is going to cross up quickly here or something, well, that hourly crosses up, good things can happen. If that starts to go negative, that's when I'd pay attention to the 2 hour because I want better momentum to see if that hourly can go positive, if that makes sense. Yeah, you're still in an hourly. As things keep going down, this is why being patient's fine, right? If it's a 30-minute pullback, well, then this will remain positive and curl up. Ooh, curled back down. Okay, that's looking very flaggy. So not it, right? Was able to go negative, continuing to go negative, not it. So let me up the time frame. Now the hourly, if that's able to really confirm up, see a solid move, not some kind of flag, some solid move, that would be good. If that continues to go down, then it's 2 hour. 2 hour, turn it down. Can that curl back up, right? I can just be patient. Gap fill is going to be tough. That's a big move down. This gap fill would be a very, very, very rigged move. You see more crazy, weird behavior towards options expiration. Since this did take the market maker off guard a little bit, they might be a little pissed off. Or certain people might be pissed off. Big money people could be pissed off because this is a very big expected move. Or a very big unexpected move happening right now. So if they really want to make their money back, yeah, what they do is they shoot this thing higher and then drop it. They use this as resistance. But the first point you have to pay attention to here is the daily expected move downside. We broke that. We can now use that as resistance. Right? Just like this is still the cup. This could still be a handle. And this could be playing out right now. So where would we want to test? Well, we might want to test this level. We might even want to come all the way up and test this level, right? Which is our zone. AND? LRCH on the watch list? LRCH? I don't know this one. LRHC. I'm reading bad. Rosa Holdings. Yeah, these are smaller ones, so they're hard to find those good moves, but you are 2 hour in positive territory. Already saw the big move. This is what I like, actually. Missing out on the first move, you're always going to miss out on the first move of these. There's no technicals that'll probably tell you much here, right? Maybe you see weekly divergence or something like that that can tell you, hey, maybe this thing has a good chance to pop. But if that 2 hour can rotate up, you notice we're taking back all the moving averages on this shorter time frame and taking back the 5. So that would tell us, hey, maybe another move comes. We always have the chance to test the closing highs, then maybe go make a new high. Do something like this, then I'd watch out if that popped up. But not a bad look. I mean, not bad look, Mental Hunter. Like, really not. For a penny stock like this, not terrible, because you're 2 hours positive. But if that starts to go negative, you got to take your time with it. If that can curl up, then that would be more of an opportunity, and you want to make sure you still manage trades. Manage trades. Manage trades. In a bear market-like situation, which we do have volatility behaving like a bear market, you want to be managing trades. I'm going to tell you right now, people who are out there who are getting the course, I think it's fantastic. You're dedicating yourself to learning. A weekend's coming up. You're going to have some time to look through it a couple of times. If a section confuses you, take it one more time, really take it. And if it still confuses you, come back to the live video, ask questions, okay? I'm encouraging you to ask questions. I'm one of the only, at least as far as I know, I've taken people's courses before. Only 1 or 2 things in my mind are useful. They make it 20 hours long and I can only use 2 things in it. In mine, I try to make everything useful. So if something is confusing you, you're not seeing it as useful, come back to the live video, ask a question. If I can answer that live, then I will answer that question. I'm also those YouTubers, I wasn't able to ask questions to those people. So I think live video is fantastic. AMD, this is ugly. This is like one that I would not touch in any way, shape, or form to the upside. I'm just going to tell you right now. I don't care if this thing bounces by 10%. I do not care. Today, it is confirming a major freaking signal. I am not touching this by any means until I see this monthly, until I see some daily signals for a bounce, for a bigger bounce, until I see this monthly turn back up. I am not touching AMD. AMD was the big hint yesterday, right, that we talked about. This is why you watch the entire video, guys, because I'm not just talking about AMD when I do analysis on it. I'm not just talking about Meta when I do analysis on it. Meta can give us a hint of what's happening next. We've done that before. Nvidia can give us a hint of what's happening next. We've done that 4 different times now. AMD is telling us something big here. This is confirming major divergence on the RSI. You'd say that's very significant, a little less significant on the MACD, but it is very significant on the RSI. It is confirming today. The only way this doesn't confirm today is if the stock goes up by 10% by close today. Maybe. And that's maybe. I don't know if this is a great short opportunity unless I can take like a leap or some kind of shit. But for the most part, I could pay. Like, the thing is, the best part about the monthly crossing over for AMD is volatility will be here for the stock. So if we see any kind of 30-minute divergences or anything like that, we will see bounces if volatility remains high. So if we actually do see volatility scale up here, AMD actually might be a fun one to trade back and forth, because it might see some little, when people are like, oh, yeah, because in a bear market, everyone's trying to fish for the bottom. So you're going to see those bounces. That's why a bear market does that, in my opinion. If you go look at this bear market in here, there's a ton of 30-minute and 2-hour divergences in here. And that's because people are always trying to catch the bottom, catch the bottom, catch the bottom. But we pay attention to actual bottoming signals. Just like right now, what do we have? We have topping signals. We have topping signals. What did you have here? bottoming signals. Notice at the low, you could be a perfect investor here. Weekly divergence. That's all you need. At the high, once that divergence got a little more significant, right? It wasn't significant, then it was. It wasn't significant, then it was. So if this crosses, be careful. Kathy Woods bought AMD yesterday. That girl, man, something. Ugh. The only time that you're not going to see this type of behavior is if we're not bear market, we're straight up crash, and then they just pump money in. Remember 2020? Pump money in. But what'd you see? You saw, weeklies cross up at least, so there's at least a hint. No daily divergence, nothing. They just said, hey, we're gonna hold the market higher, right? Hey, we're gonna hold the market higher. Hey, we're gonna hold the market higher. But down at this low, what did you have? Weekly divergence. Okay, so we're seeing the opposite of that now. So if the weeklies cross, that hasn't happened yet, we can see major downside. But there's always bounces. That's why we use weekly expected moves. And I highly encourage, if you are taking the course, to really pay attention to weekly expected moves. What do we look for around them? What are they? It's very important to understand what they are. It is the options data. This is real money making these levels, not me. Real money making these levels. I'm just calculating it, right? So if we shot down to here today, what's the most likely thing to happen? Bounce, maybe. Going into next week, what if next week we come all the way down to here, and then next week we have a range that's way up here, and we see this mega move, and everyone says, we're going to all-time highs, but you see a little 30-minute divergence right here, and that weekly moves right there, and you fill this gap. Uh-oh. Bad things. Wonky head and shoulders, maybe, right? Grabbing of liquidity, some kind of cup and handle. So, just know, if you really understand these ranges, you understand how we utilize them, and really it's just, if you can understand divergences, if you can understand weakness and momentum, and things like that, you can understand your indicators, you will really have an easier time if we're going to go into this bear market that I think we're seeing. If the weeklies cross over, I'm really, AMD's already saying, yeah, we're about to see some dramatic downside. That's what AMD is saying. It could. It's just with monthly. Like if I was taking a monthly, what do I always look for? Okay, what do I always look for before I take a trade? I always look in the shorter time frames. What am I seeing in the shorter time frames? And in a monthly, I could look at a weekly. So is this an opportunity right now? Possibly, maybe to go down to that too. Remember 2 days ago when we said AMD can go all the way down to 112? I'm pretty sure we said that like in this move. If this crosses down, this can go to 112. Look where it's heading. Now it's still in a zone. We still want to treat it like it can bounce in some way, but the shorter time frame, the weekly compared to the monthly, is telling me that this might be downside very soon, like right now. You can always see that move sideways for a while. So that's why I'm like, is it a great opportunity? I trade things based on pretty much a month-to-month basis. Month-to-month basis, that's kind of how I do things. I take about, I think anywhere from 2 week to 2 month out options. That's what I do because I like to use weekly ranges. I like to take profit on moves I'm right and look for the next one. That's what I like to do. And if you like this style too, you think this information is helpful and you want to learn that style, I think that's fantastic. Just make sure you practice. Go through charts, go through charts, go through charts. That's what I did. When I put together all of this stuff, yes, I had years of practice at trading, but when I started to use weekly ranges, and when I started to really utilize divergences, utilize the time frames that I talk about in all these videos, do you know what I did? I think I spent probably, I would have to say, it had to be days worth of hours of just looking at stocks, picking out stocks that I think move like this, that I can find these type of moves. And I just found that Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, Meta, Microsoft, Google, Netflix, those are the ones that I think do that stuff. How much manipulation do I think is going on with DJT? It depends, Tom. It really depends. It depends. And I know that's a rough answer, but that is the correct common sense answer. It depends. It depends on, are we crashing down just because of repositioning? Are we crashing down just because of earnings right now? Or are we crashing down because of an actual black swan that we can actually pinpoint? Is there a reason for this turning down? Is it we're not going to have the soft landing? They completely take that off the table, right? But no matter the reason for whatever signal that's in front of me, I'm just playing the signal that's in front of me. And the signal that was in front of me was the biggest stock ever was telling you, hey, I have a 2-hour divergence and I'm outside of my monthly expected move. It reacted all the way down to the weekly expected move. This should have made plenty of freaking money. For anyone that saw this, this is 4 out of 4. You can count that because we went all the way down to a weekly expected move and we're back into the monthlies. Great. Insert eye roll. If anyone out there tells you that they are 100% certain about something, the only thing you can probably be certain about is the fact that this is going to end ugly, but no one knows exactly how this will end. Cam, thanks so much for joining us today, though. Cassie's over there eye rolling. She's like, ew. Got it just like, why am I getting old? Wedgie. All right, we're good. Sorry, I had to readjust. All right. The level I think you want to get to for this, though, is going to be something like 130.75. That would be your big cut. I think that would be the very bearish thing. If we hold up here and we're able to curl up this 2-hour, we'd still be positive. So that's where now this has worked out. But if that 2-hour crosses up, uh-oh, we might go a little bit higher, right? We always want to be aware of both sides. We can't be confident until we start seeing bigger signals like AMD is doing right now. AMD might be a hint, and the SPY is turning down rapidly. But if this weekly crosses, that's when we kind of say, okay, we can experience bounces, but most likely over the next month or two, the SPY will be at lower levels at some point. That's why monthly expected moves are going to be great here. Because if this continues, we hit a monthly expected move early on in the week, we see a 2-hour triple divergence or something like that, just like Nvidia does, we can say, okay, this is bottoming out. We're going to get some kind of daily bounce. Well, see, what you're talking about there, Mr. Dan, and I think it's perfectly fine if you're someone who wants to get good at it. I'm not going to hate on you if you want to try to be a day trader or anything like that. That's perfectly fine. I do not do that. I do not try to look at too many 5-minute charts. The times where I look at 5-minute charts are if we actually are like kind of confirmed in a bear market pretty much. But I'm not doing it to make dailies. Will they run? I think that's when you have the opportunity for them to run. But it also could be, there's still two scenarios there, but let me finish this point here. So on the 5-minute, if you're trying to be a day trader, just so you are aware, I'm a position trader, and for the most part, 95% of people who try to day trade lose money. So if you're going to play 5-minute signals and things like that, okay, what do you need to see? I need to see a divergence, and I need to see that really close to the center line, and that bad boy better be outside of a daily expected move. Just because you're a day trader does not mean you trade every single day. Where is this 5-minute right now? Very, very deep. All right? If I was to day trade, I would wait for a 30-minute divergence to pop up. Right? We see that. The indicator shows this. Pretty close to the center line. Right? And then in that 30-minute move down, let's pretend that's right in here. Let's pretend this is forming, okay? So I'm going to delete this. If I was doing that, we're outside of a daily expected move. I want to see this. Up, down, up. Maybe even down, up, right? So Actually, it'd be more like this because this is so deep. You're probably triple divergence might be your friend. But this would be the best signal, I think, is you see this, you drop down, you see this, you drop down, then you do that. Okay? Because what that'll do with your MACD down here, most of the time, right? If the setup is showing, right? If the setup is forming, you're going to see this big move to the center line and it fails. Then you see this big move and it fails. Then you see this. Okay? Now this is where, boom, there, we tapered, up, triple divergence on a 5-minute. If that has a 30-minute divergence behind it as well, that would be where I think that's a good trade setup. Does that mean it's going to see some kind of massive move for 20 points and blah, blah, blah? No. But I don't want to teach day trading because, one, it's not something that I enjoy doing. I don't enjoy day trading. I enjoy what I do right now. I think it's a lot of fun. It can really help me in seeing which way the market is going. I really like trying to find those pivotal moments in the market. I think it's a lot of fun when everyone is bearish and I get bullish. I think it's a lot of fun when everyone is bullish and I'm kind of mentioning bear things, right? I think that's fun because I'm always in the move before the move like really starts to get talked about. Now, the other part of that is 95% of people who day trade lose money. And I think it's because people think day trading, I think one big piece of it is day trading does not mean you have to trade every single day. If I was a day trader, I could sit there, I could wait for a 30-minute divergence, then I could look at a 5-minute, see if that 30 minutes going to curl up, get 5 points, call it a day. Maybe I'll do one of those one day. If we see the setup at some point, I'll try to do one maybe for you guys. But for the most part, it's just not a habit. Day trading is a get-rich-quick scheme. Something that you'll learn in the course that I say multiple times, and we say it over and over again, and I'm going to say it here because I think it's very helpful. Make money the fast way, right? Making money the fast way, right? Yeah, pretty much, Mr. Dan. I like my monthly options. If I see a little 30-minute divergence and I want to take a quick play, I'll do a little 2-week option or something like that. Usually I'm not doing anything less than 2 weeks. Usually I'll say this, 99% of the time I'm not doing anything less than 2 weeks as far as expiration. Even if the trade looks like it's booming and things are great and I could be seeing it's a perfect signal and I think it's going to play out the next day, I always have that opportunity to be wrong, so I want to be able to mitigate risk. That being said, the fastest way to make money in the market is the slow way. Just a little bit slower. Just a little bit slower, okay? And in the course, I do tell you about the if I'm just taking a little 30 minutes, sometimes it's 2 weeks. If I see a golden setup, you bet your ass I'm buying about a month out, maybe even 2 months out. Yeah, I hope that was helpful, Mr. Dan. I like your questions. They're good questions. I mean, I've heard them a few times, but I think it's good for people to hear these things again. You can be wrong. Make money the slow way. Day trading, why do you have to take a trade every single day? Wait for a good, if you really learn divergence, you can wait for a good 30-minute setup. If you get a 5-minute divergence, you can take a little 2-day thing. You know what I mean? Why do I have to do it all in one day? I just don't see the reasoning for that. I am bored. Oh, you're bored, so you're day trade. Yeah, I'm gonna day trade because I'm bored. No. What's Tesla's lower side? That's over on Patreon. Wonder if Tesla's near it. You're getting there. You're getting there, slowly but surely. Some room to the downside left there for Tesla. Still, I'm just waiting. I'm just looking. Can this hourly turn up? Okay, cool. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, all right, 2 hours going to keep going. All right, look for the 2 hour to curl up. Awesome. I'm just being patient, being chill, thinking simply. It's like, that's all I'm really doing there. AMD, we are in a buy zone in some way, but we're curling over big signals. But you can kind of see what we might set up later. What if something like that happened? Maybe that's a bigger reaction. That'd be interesting. You need to wait. Yeah, if you're a cash account. If you're... Or some people run into that problem on multiple platforms of the day trade flagging or whatever. I don't know what it's called. They like flag on I think someone mentioned that on Robinhood. Like you get flagged for day trading if you make too many. I think you have to have, what is it? You have to have $30,000 in the account or something. Oh yeah, PDT. That's it. Pattern day trader. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, I think you have to have, what is it, 30,000? You have to have 30,000 in your account or something. But that's on, that's not a cash account then. 25, okay, 25K, so close. Do it the slow way. Take 10,000, build it up to 25. Then it's like if you're doing something like this, like 30-minute signals, taking 2-week options, 2-hour signals, taking those, waiting for moves outside of monthly expected moves, and you build 10,000 to 25K in like a year, and then you switch to day trading to where you have a 95% chance of failure. I know that the 5% make great money because they're good at it. SMCI, ouch. Yeah, that's more than an ouch. That is, you just cut their hand off. My goodness. Good questions today. Yeah, Martin. And I think it's because it's because of you guys. It is because of you guys that we're getting these good questions today. Yesterday's video, I fully went into it. I actually was almost not going to make a video, and then I started to look at signals, and I go, okay, I don't care that my electricity's flashing. I don't care that my lights are flashing. I'm going to try to make this video. So I made it. I dedicated more time than I wanted to it because of the signals, and you guys like the videos. You watch the videos for a longer period of time. That does help us get new people in here who bring good questions, and I think that's awesome. The more people we get in, the more things we can learn, right? The more things I can learn from people. People telling me a lot about SMCI and the problem yesterday, I think that's great. People coming in and telling me a little bit about AMC and GME. I go, people actually mentioned to me, people came into our live show before GME popped last spring. And they said, man, you need to look at GME. And I was like, I don't know if this is going. And then I remember being like, it's a pretty good signal, but will they let that happen again? Probably not. And then like 2 weeks later, it happened. And I was like, frickin' it. If I knew, and then I did my research. So now we have a good signal for GameStop. Still in the crazy level, turning down, but we'll see. DJT looks like 2-hour pullback still. Actually, let's go. I want to just check on it. Okay, we're coming into that level. This is where we got to see if we can bounce. Is the hourly pause? Hourly, not too good. I'd look for that 2-hour to get momentum. DAX? Oh, yeah. Oh, the DAX. Wait. I don't look at DAX often, but I know that DAX is like what? The German market or something like that, right? Is that right? Is that what the DAX is? Someone's got to tell me, because I don't know everything. I'm not ever going to claim to know everything. I would say this. At this level here, you had a good little 2-hour divergence that became significant. So you're seeing this. I had divergence here, right? Kind of elongated down, still a decent signal, but you notice your RSI, not the most down. Then it became significant. And when that turned down, you got that flagging and you broke it again. That's what happened here. I try to talk about things before they happen, but I know a lot of people are like, what does this look like? But that's how you would look at it. For the most part, what we want to see here is when you see these little 2-hour signals, you want to say, okay, what's the daily look like? Ooh, okay, the daily has triple divergence on the RSI. The daily has single divergence here on the MACD. So that means that with that 2-hour signal, right, we can say this is on the daily. Let me look at that 2-hour signal right here. That is when it says this is most likely going to cross. It crossed. All right, then you get the bounce. You're always going to experience bounces But the 2 hour, if that can get by the center line and cross back down, more negativity. So you do have daily divergence here. Let's look at this because I haven't looked at this like almost ever. The weekly scale is what you're going to want. So not only are we seeing it apparently in our markets, if this weekly crosses over for the DAX, it means that most likely, you know, we can always experience bounces, but most probable thing to do is at least get by that center line. You're hoping that curls back up if you don't want some kind of crash. If you go negative, it's kind of a different story at that point. I want to look at the monthly. Monthly, just flatness, not even on the MACD, but flatness on the RSI right now. Just flat. Nothing too bad for the DAX on the monthly scale, actually. If that goes negative, obviously it's bad. See, the thing is, our markets affect so many markets that even if it's not showing it, it could be bad for markets. If the SPY is able to curl down on a weekly chart. Damn, Q's down 2% now. But yeah, some good signals there. Took yesterday and today 100% trades on the down move. Nice job, Strom HS. We have a, I don't know if you're German or if you just trade the DAX, but we have a German restaurant here. It's called Prost. It's dope. How do we keep dropping? Last 2 days are crazy. I'd say that weekly signals. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this, Qs. That's a red bar. This is crossing. So if they don't want the bad things to start right now, they got to save this thing today. Today or tomorrow, because this is weekly. Sorry about that. German, guten Tag. Have you ever seen Beer Fest? Because I'm sorry that it makes fun of Germans, but that is the most funny thing I've ever, like, it is hilarious. The German team on Beer Fest is so funny, dude. XLU green, that is a good point to bring up. This has not crossed over on a weekly. It doesn't really have divergence. Daily scale has confirmed the divergence. Ooh, you'd like to go a little bit lower. Oh, so maybe we put a nipple on it. Oh my god, that's so, oh god, it's just such a funny movie, man. I always think like, I know that we make fun of ourselves, but I always wonder if like German film producers make movies making fun of Americans like that, which I guess in Beer Fest they make fun of America too, but I always wonder if like other countries have movies that I just haven't seen because I don't speak German. Sprechen Sie dick. Oh my gosh, there's so many fun things, man. I actually have my friend's dad he immigrated here from Germany. But he is straight up American wash now. He like does not sound any kind of broken English or anything. Your movies are very stiff. I haven't seen Postal. No, I haven't. I'll look it up. It's me and my wife need new movies all the time. Looking at IWM real quick. Weekly crossing over. The divergence that's holding on the MACD here went away on the RSI, but you see the double top divergence for the RSI. I just think it's going to be really hard not to continue this at this point. I mean, we're just reacting to a 9 on the weekly. Daily might be a 50, right? If we touch that 50, right, here's the thing. I understand the weeklies are crossing over. If we start to bounce, maybe we go to that 50 and we start to bounce. There is still always the opportunity, if the daily can cross, that we go higher, right? We get some kind of weird, remember we talked about if we do break, we could get some kind of weird retest to go to all-time highs. Oktoberfest, let's go. I used to play in a tournament in Oklahoma called Socktoberfest. I would go with all my dad's friends, and they would sit there and drink beer, and I'd have to do all the work because I was the semi-pro athlete and I carried them. We actually won the tournament last time. It's a ton of fun because they all drink beer and they're good enough to play, and I get to do all the work, and I love doing all the work. I think it's so much fun. Will we bounce today? no real signals saying that you need to bounce today. You can always bounce on a 5-minute when it starts to get oversold, but this is very negative. So if you do see a big rip, it's going to be a rigged move. It's going to be a rigged move at this point. You have no reversal signals from the 30-minute on the SPY, no 30-minute for the Qs. Volatility, Qs are starting to break that level. Volatility not giving you reversals. Actually, okay. One thing you can pay attention to right now, if we're going to get some kind of rigged move up, volatility might tell us. Volatility might tell us. Now, just note, if we don't get rid of daily MACD turnups in positive territory, that can just take off the next day. But if this turned around right now, you would have a tiny little divergence there. You would have a tiny little divergence here, okay? That is a signal. See how we click around? We find the signal, how we can help ourselves not get screwed. Does that mean I'm going to sell all my volatility? I'm not going to. I'm seeing AMD crossover on a monthly scale. I'm seeing the SPY confirm on a weekly right now. I am not going to. I might take a little profit or something like that, but I'm not going to sell all my positions. That's just how I'm going to do things, because this is dramatic. All right, daily, where do we need to get to for the Qs, or for the SPY? That weekly expected move would be great if you catch a bounce from there. I think this bundle is where you can catch a bounce. So anywhere in here, we can start to bounce. I think a reaction down to, what's the low of this one? The open, 567.36. If we can get to 567.36, experience a bounce, then curl back down, that is what I'm really thinking could happen here. Left, head, right shoulder. You could say cup and handle in some way. I like that. Now let's do the Qs. So now we know that level. It's right by the weekly expected move, so I don't have to mark anything. The level for the Qs, a little bit deeper, all right? So let's see this low, or this open, sorry. 479.74, right? Did I read that right? 479.74. So 479.74, what would that do? That would take you out of the weekly expected move. Maybe you do that tomorrow. You get some kind of wick up. We bounce for a little bit of time, maybe get that retest, then we curl back down. So we could see that structure form. Does any of that have to happen? No. If a black swan, something really bad's going on here, that can just flush. But market Oracle. Free daily financial markets analysis and forecasting online publication. Well, if you've used it, then tell me how it's working out for you. What things do you like about it? What things do you not like about it? And the VIX is breaking out, Konik. But that little 30-minute signal is what we'd watch for now. If it gets rid of that, daily momentum is maybe taking off. Volatility up by more than 11% though, so there is a chance for a bounce if that lands like that in the next 2 trading sessions. Part of me thinks that would most likely be some kind of bounce with options expiration. GME is holding up. What I think the signals are fine. It's breaking down pretty dramatically. If the daily crosses down, that's not quite good, right? We want to see this 30-minute turn up. You're testing the 5, right? We can rotate down to the 5 at any time to retest that thing. Now you're testing it. It's right by the weekly expected move upside. We can use that as support. We'll see. It doesn't have to use that as support, right? And most likely the 2-hour can cross down if we don't use that as support. If the 2-hour crosses down, I think we leak down a little bit further. Notice this. What day are we approaching for GME and AMC? Friday. What do we say about Fridays for GME and AMC? Well, it seems that every single Friday we see GME and AMC turning down. They really clamp down on GME and AMC, especially if they make an upward move towards Friday. So if the 2-hour crosses down, bad. If the 30-minute can cross up before the 2-hour crosses down, that'd be good. And if we can use this topside expected move to do that, that's what I like. I don't trust the SPY move down. I mean, you can see a bounce at any time. But the reason that you can trust this a little bit is because if this weekly were to confirm right now, so they need to unconfirm this. So you're right. This is a time to be like, okay, they do not want this market to come down, right? This is something that they've touted all the time. Oh, the market's good, so you're doing fine, right? You've heard that plenty of times. It's probably pissed you off as you're going to the grocery store spending 3 times what you used to spend. But they're saying, hey, the market's good, so they do not want that to go down. So yes, you are correct to be like, hey, I need to pay attention to this because something could happen. But for the most part, if that weekly is showing a red bar right here, hey, that means that even if we experience bounces, we consolidate in some way, we retest, it means that over the next, as long as that remains curled down, most likely we are going to end up at lower prices. And right now, I think that level that we just found is pretty good, which is sitting right at the weekly expected move, so we don't have to do too much there. And you're also seeing volatility turn up on a daily scale. You're seeing other signals that add up to more good things here for downside. But you are correct in thinking, hey, what if they just rip this thing higher? If this thing does rip higher, it is completely rigged at that point. You're hoping this. This is what we're kind of hoping for if we're going to see a trap, maybe not this week, but leading into a little bit of next week, is if we find a reversal signal in here, right? We need some kind of reversal signal. We have none. You have no small time frame reversal signal. Maybe, you know, people like minute charts. I don't like that. 5-minute charts. Even on the 5-minute, you do not have a reversal signal. Let's see if people are getting overly bearish. Oh, look at this. People are going to the call side. People went to the call side with this. You're not even seeing people overly go to the put side. That's kind of the opposite. When we talk about squeezes, people at these weekly expected moves, what happens, or at the daily expected move, if you see a squeeze higher, right, we do this. And let's say that's a daily expected move. We do that early on in the day. And everyone tries to short it. What happens? It just builds that, takes all their money, takes it in, lets them get bearish, and then boom. So you're seeing kind of the opposite of that now. Only 123 for 2 months? For 3 months? Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, Robert, let's see what you said about it. I use it now, love it, gives buy and sell signals, recognizes reversal threat for day trading. Interesting. I'll go look at that for a second. And Juggernaut, thank you so much. And I hope that you are having some good workouts, gaining those big muscles. But Juggernaut, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you for subscribing. Man, this is just flushing. Thank you. You know, everyone should say thank you, SMCI. Actually, everyone should say thank you to the what's the auditing company? Does anyone know the auditing company for SMCI that did this? Everyone should say thank you to them. Big muscles, no Diddy. Yeah, no baby oil on those muscles, okay? Yeah, next week. Here's the thing too. You know, I am someone who does believe there are really, really rich people who control a lot of politicians. I do believe that happens. And so if they don't like what's going on and they have a lot of power, I'm very worried about next week. The election's getting closer and closer. Anytime they try to bash Trump, he got a garbage truck. Like, yeah, the garbage truck thing was awesome. The McDonald's thing was fantastic. So it's just Ernst, okay, EY, Ernst and Young. Okay, we should say thank you to them. Thank you to them for saying, hey, that's corruption. We're not going to help you out with that. We're not going to be associated with that in any way. Because that's, at a very minimal level, that's what you're looking at, right? You're like, well, they didn't like what they saw. They said something was wrong enough to totally drop it. And I think that's what, that's something we should say thank you, because a lot of people would say, oh, let's cover that up so we can keep that account. And I think that's very noble of them, actually. I use your course for longer trades and Market Oracle for day trading. Okay, that keeps it fun, right? That's a lot of money they let go. Exactly. Or a market guy saying they've never read or seen something like this. Exactly. You have to appreciate when people actually do something that they go, that is bad. I'm not going to help hide it. Maybe it was. Ooh, that would be interesting. But right now, we'd have to say thank you because these trades are really playing out. Yeah, what the hell? Where are all the people saying this market's never going to drop back down? They always show up when the market's going higher. And we actually call the market going higher, but when I put out a video saying, hey, this looks like a big day tomorrow, AMD's looking bad, yes, well, the top 10% of earners own 90% of stocks. I'm down, Georgie. I'm still down for that. Here's the thing. Once you trade like water, you're like, I don't care if the stock market goes to 60. Oh God, if it went to 60, that'd be bad. I don't care if the market goes to 600. I just care if the signal pops up that I can allow myself to buy into that. If the market turns up and looks like it's going to 600, you know what's going to happen? A 2 hour is going to curl up and I'm going to be out of my puts. Do I think Amazon will do good on earnings? I think earnings will have to save this market, right? We said that going into today. For the rest of the week, pretty much. Going into next week, it's still not done, right? You still have Apple coming out after hours. You still have Amazon coming out after hours. This is the stuff that has to save the market here, because if you get bad news and we end like this, ew. That's, if you get bad news from Apple especially, that's going to be bad. We did get data this morning, just so you're aware. We did get data this morning, and tomorrow we get non-farm payrolls, unemployment, right? We'll see what happened with that. But for the most part, we did get we got personal income, personal spending. Personal income 0.3, personal spending 0.5. When personal spending is higher than personal income, I do believe that is a good thing for Amazon. Because I think it means like, hey, people are still buying stuff just on a credit card. We've already looked at delinquency rates if you guys want to see that. Not commercial banks. Credit cards. We already pulled this up. That's not a sign you want to see. The last time we spiked up dramatically, we crossed up on a 3-month scale? Is this 3 month? Yeah, this is a 3-month scale. The last time we did that, I believe this is on a 3-month scale. The last time we did that was right before 2007, 2008. And you notice that 2007, 2008, that started to scale up. What are we doing? We're scaling up dramatically here. Okay, you're starting to see that go up here. And when did the free money, like the money pumping really start? And they allow a ton of people to go on credit without allowing them to go delinquent, like people aren't going delinquent. Well, it was 2007, 2008. This was 2020. Like, people think 2020 was the huge problem. As far as credit cards go, 2009, 2008 was actually, as far as loans, credit card loans, it was 2007, 2008, actually. That's a cool chart. I like that one. VIX still breaking out as of right now. Something we do have the chance to happen tomorrow as we go into options expiration and we see volatility screaming a little bit is a retest, right? We just get some kind of consolidative day, some kind of bounce, and then things continue to escalate next week. People bringing up Iran, people bringing up Israel, people bringing up the election, people bringing up civil unrest, people bringing up unemployment, people bringing up, oh my gosh, there's just people bringing up the housing sector. It's just like, my goodness. There's just tons of things going on. And this is what you get when you kick the can. That can starts to get, you know, more and more beat up to where it's in shreds and you can't kick the can anymore. And it's the negative loop in psychology. Who knows about the negative and positive loops in psychology? I'm down, Matthew. Oh boy. One thing I might do, I might reposition something. No, I'm fine, I'm fine. Building the new road so they could, yeah, that would be our debt. That would be our national debt, maybe. Georgie. Don't forget about Diddy too. Interesting. Yeah, there's tons of stuff coming out. Moody's overvalued tranches and rated them. AAA. Yeah, yeah. But if you go back, watch The Big Short, and if you watch the end, at the very end they put up a thing on the screen and it says banks after 2007, 2008, they came back in like 2012 and added something into the system. It was just a new name for everything they were doing. Should we buy call options here? I can't tell you what to do. You can do whatever you would like to do with your money. There is no reversal signal in sight right now for the SPY. If you see a reversal, it's going to be completely rigged or because of earnings overnight. The time where I'll start to get out of positions would be if the 2 hour were to cross here. The likelihood of the 2 hour crossing starting to get lower. Buy now, pay later was just dropped by Apple. Remember that? Do you guys remember that? Day of reckoning. Oh, it might be. But do you remember that? Nobody remembers when Apple got rid of their buy now, pay later? How is Carvana? Is it really? Oh my goodness. Carvana. Is it earnings? Okay, it's earnings. It's earnings. This is why I'm like, if we go through a black swan, all of this stuff might start to just turn back down. Let's look at the Dow real quick. Weekly scale. Okay, that hasn't crossed yet. I really thought that might have crossed by now. So I just want to see the indices. What are crossing? IWM crossing, SPY crossing, Q's crossing, all confirming right now. You have another day left. You have one more day. And then that's crossing, and that says, hey, over the next couple of months, we can experience some downside. Now, we are overall in the Qs in a channel. We violated it for a brief moment, but if we wanted to, we could come down to these areas of 455. This is where monthly expected moves will really help us out. If we see a flash move down like this, we see a little reversal signal on a 2 hour, right, over the next week or two confirm, all right, then we can actually go higher. You can. Now, most likely that would be some kind of right? Most likely, because the weeklies would cross over, but tell us about negative loop. So negative loop is something you can use in your everyday life, and we always say that things are related across all things, everything, right? So in the market, things are related psychologically, and like in your real life, things are related psychologically. So a negative loop is this. So if I go through something bad, there's two types of kind of how you can treat that situation. Oh. Matthew, you might have called that. That was good. So negative loop is where negative things happen all at once, and a negative loop in your everyday life could be if you experience something bad, how do you see it? Well, if you steer into it negatively, then something else negative is more likely to happen, and then you spiral down a negative loop. That is how depression really works. Ooh, I might have to read the book. I don't think I've ever read the book. I'm reading my not American Sniper. I'm reading my The Reaper right now. I want to see at least some kind of reversal signal before I do anything, even a little 5 minute or something like that. I want to see something. Volatility, you can see that at least has a 5 minute saying, hey, if I cross, I can cross down the 30 minute. If that crosses, you still have flatness. It could be a pullback. But yeah, negative loop. No, you can also be in positive loop. So if you've ever experienced a time in your life where it seems like everything's going wrong, it means you're in a negative loop. If one thing went wrong, then the next thing went wrong, then the next thing went wrong, you might be just in a negative loop. So something you have to do is break the cycle, right? So that can be dedicated to trading. If your trading is going poorly, you're having a loss into a loss into a loss, you need to take a break, do something different for a second, right? That's what that is. You need to try to put yourself back into a positive loop. That is why a lot of psychologists tell men, especially, if they are experiencing negativity on a daily basis, what you need to do is change your daily routine. You need to wake up in the morning, maybe make your bed, go to the gym, eat a good breakfast, put yourself in a positive loop for the day. You can't control when negative things happen, but you can control how you react. That's one of the biggest tips I ever got from my college soccer coach. Was you get frustrated during games, that energy is very good, but you're not using it positively. He just said, sit back and think for a second. So he's like, sit back and think for a second. How can I use this energy wisely? And all I did was stood there for 5 seconds, just not moving. And I'd be really angry about something. And then I'd be like, well, let me go do this. Let me go tackle the guy on their team who's the best player. Let me just knock him over real quick. Let me stop him from doing what he's doing for a second. Okay, that changed things. Seriously, like, yeah. And genuinely, like, I am someone who cares deeply. I mean, I've never gone into it, but I had a serious depression phase. You guys can understand. I lost my business, lost my home, lost my girlfriend, you know, wasn't able to play semi-pro soccer. I was getting scouted by pro teams. I've been through plenty of that, and I put myself in negative loops, and I read, you know, what helped me was actually reading some psychology books to really see, like, what am I going through right now? But highly encouraged for your real life. It can really help you out if you can understand that you are in a negative loop and you need to do something random, something different, something positive to change things. GME goes strong when everything comes down. What do you think? GME, got to see if that curls up into positive territory on the 30-minute. Right now, you're still breaking down. We're trying to use the top side. We're trying to use the 5-day and the top side weekly expected move as support at this point. Yeah, that's something a lot of people can do, Georgia. You got to be very confident. You got to be very confident with your signals, I think. You have to be very confident with your strategy to do that. But once you can figure it out, if you're confident with it, you have your stop loss and all that, you just say, it's a lot of people would say this, and this is something that I tout too. You notice that after my live stream, I usually don't stare at stocks all day. Okay? A lot of the time, what I like to do is I like to see what the morning looks like. Okay, cool. Am I getting a setup? Okay, this looks like it could make a 30-minute divergence. That means I probably have a couple hours today before that really forms. So let me go to lunch with my family. Let me go visit my niece and nephew, right? Because if you sit and stare at stocks all day, you might convince yourself to take a trade early. You might do something that's not necessarily a good thing. Yeah, if you're someone who just enjoys doing it and you're good at it, hey, that's fine. You know, everyone's different, but it is something that I like to say is, you know, a lot of the time what I like to do is, yeah, I'll literally take a 2-hour break in the middle of the day. AMD, more downside. I mean, on the monthly scale, it's saying, yeah. But as far as right now, we can always experience a bounce. I don't think... Does this 30-minute have a good chance to cross? Does it have 15, 30-minute divergence, anything like that? It has 15-minute divergence, so you do have a chance to bounce from here. Exactly, Martin. And that's something I'm thinking about doing right now, but it's kind of hard because the last time that I did that, when I was up 400%, the next day I was up 4,000. I would have been up 4,000% the next day. And so I'm like, God, I don't want that to happen again. So I'm not going to sell every contract, but I might take a little profit here in case we catch a bounce, and then I can reapply the position. That's actually a good idea there. I like it. I'm bouncing off you right now, and I like it. $10 from Jackal. Jackal, that's going to pop up in a second. Thank you so much for the $10. I have said this before. I am a trader and real estate developer. I am a 41-year-old guy who enjoys listening and reacting to online media to keep my daylight. To keep my day light. It's a lonely game doing this. Yes, and a lot of things that I do were, I would say, on the lonelier side. So it is nice to have built this community, and you guys should say thank you, wifey, thank you, Lucas's wife, or thank you, Danny, because she is a big reason that this happened. She encouraged me to do it. She said, you know, you just sit and stare at stocks all day. What if you built a community that you can maybe help? And I kind of brought her the idea of making a YouTube channel, and she made it more of a mission, and I've really steered into that, and I really do appreciate you guys being here. $10 for her. I'll take her to lunch this weekend. Okay, I'll take her on a nice little date. Maybe we can give baby girl to grandma for a little bit. Are we seeing any kind of structure? The only thing I'm worried about are this earnings. This is a level you can bounce. I think going lower would make more sense before you bounce. All right, I guess the more sensible thing would be that. That would be the more sensible thing. God, I wish I knew next week's ranges. Wish that was possible. It's not. Had a SPY put yesterday for next week. Sold it before the end of the day since it got wrecked overnight on the SPY. That's unfortunate, Anthony. It happens to everyone. Bounce back, okay? This is what I'm talking about. This is the negative. This is your choice, negative or positive loop. Try to see it in a better light. You can just say, hey, well, that's unfortunate. Let me be patient for a second. There will always be another setup in a few days, right? Especially if we go into a bear market and you know how to use these weekly ranges. You will get plenty of opportunities, okay? And you might get that opportunity sooner than you think. What if the SPY, right? You said the SPY. What if the SPY goes like that and then turns back down? Maybe that's it, right? What if the SPY goes up, uncrosses that weekly, then curls down, and then you say, okay, now that weekly's crossing, let me make a decision, right? Try to turn it into a positive, all right? Oh, you're in profit today again. Let's go. That's what we like to see. So thank you to, who said it? Oh gosh, up here. What about Intel? Actually, yeah, let's look at that. INTC. Ooh, wait a second here. Okay, this looks like we could make the structure to head lower. We're getting down to fill that cup. Maybe we bounce here in this and then we turn down, but you also do potentially have before earnings a 2-hour divergence here. If that would curl back up, that'd be a good sign. Just know that that is facing straight down. Earnings is a 50-50 flip. This is why I don't do earnings. There's plenty of other signals I can look for here, but these are fine, right? Notice I didn't really trade any earnings and I still caught a good move. I don't have to risk it on a 50-50 flip. We've seen tons of red and green, tons of green and red. I don't want to play that game. Sorry, guys, 1 second. All right, guys, sorry, wifey came downstairs. We have to go, so I have to go right now. Just a note, I know that this is some crazy price action to the downside. We have a lot of plans for baby girl tonight for Halloween. That's pretty funny. We have a lot of plans tonight for Halloween for her, so I will not, and it comes right at the time where I film, so I will not be putting out a YouTube video tonight. Okay, so that means you got to show up to the live video tomorrow in order to see those daily expected moves. We will have those for you. But tonight I will be putting out the monthly expected moves over on Patreon. Okay, so if you want those monthly expected moves, the ones that we've used for Nvidia trades multiple times now, we've had 4 for 4 work out. We just hit a weekly expected move for Nvidia, but we've had 4 for 4 work out. If we're going to bounce for Nvidia, now might be the place. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Get anything down in the description if you guys need some learning, but I do appreciate you guys being here, and I hope you guys have a fantastic night, all right? How do I get on the Patreon? All the links are down in the description. You might have to read through a little bit to get to the Patreon. I think that's like the 3rd or 4th one down, but we have courses and the Patreon down there in the description. Kaja, thank you so much for subscribing, and someone else who subscribed, I cannot read your name and I do not want to butcher it, but thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys for being here. Happy Halloween. Looks like right now we got a little treat. Let's look out for a trick, all right? Thank you guys so much. Have a good day. Peace out.